it's almost a little bit of a trap to fall into the IT versus OT thing, right? I reject that.
But if we now take it even notch down, make it more specific about, we're not talking about just digital transformation in, the generic services organization or a bank or something like that. We're talking about operating companies with manufacturing department and warehouses and front office and supply chain, all that. And then alongside this weird term IT that we kind of touched on, there is this other term called OT.
Yes, right.
Which I think is even more elusive.
That's right.
How does OT play into it? Do you have that separation at Kason? Are you thinking through those lenses?
So it's organizational alignment issue, which happens all the time with technology, where I need multiple departments to be on board to move forward. Now, the easy projects are like if you're just doing something that impacts just one department, and this is IT, traditional IT. If I'm doing something, it's one department, super easy to do. But the bigger projects are the ones that I need to get 4 or 5 departments to start to sync together because I've deployed an enterprise solution that really impacts the whole organization. And, a digital strategy is something that addresses the edge to edge activities inside of a company and beyond into partners and customers, right? So if you're really doing digital strategy correctly, you are at the extreme edge of use cases, trying to bring together people in multiple departments and different hierarchies and all that stuff. I think it's almost a little bit of a trap to fall into the IT versus OT thing, right? I reject that. And I reject the premise that is what you have to do to be successful. I push my technology team into manufacturing, and I want the manufacturing team to understand how we're using technology broadly. Because as you move forward and you want to, do things with AI, it's like, where's the data coming from? You've got to pull the data up. And if people don't understand that whole life cycle, they don't understand the purpose of doing some action or how it integrates in with the larger picture. If the IT department doesn't understand how you make money as a manufacturer, then they're missing most of the story.
So how have you seen this done, if you can share a bit, like in the real world? So I think a lot of people understand that trap. Maybe they are more comfortable, less comfortable talking about it. I think that depends often on size of the organization, maturity, whether they're thinking, more dramatically investing, because you sometimes walk into super large enterprises and they have, folks with roles like chief digital officers and the like. But sometimes, when you walk into smaller mid-market type companies, it's all very tightly knit. So how have you seen this approach put to work in practice?
Naturally, as an organization gets bigger, people start segmenting roles and, they get put into their box, and it becomes very obvious that you have people in their little fiefdom, and then you have to break that apart. Those small to medium-sized companies, sometimes it's harder to see it, but it's definitely there. And I would also say most of the small to medium manufacturers struggle to have the right technology leadership, right? There's a limited number of people that can truly do digital transformation, because you need a technology business owner. You need somebody who understands business and understands all of this technology. And you and I both know it's almost a full-time job just keeping up with the changes in technology, right? So to find the right person that can, take you on this journey is challenging. And once you get through some of those barriers, though, you're right. There's some traps in the sense that manufacturing engineering often is kind of a critical team, because they're the ones that are going to enable the connect and collect stage. They're really the ones that are going to connect and really make stuff happen. And what I find happens is you start talking to the MEs, and they're working on how do I enable an actuator to enable the production cycle to continue. And you start a conversation, say, hey, I want to connect to this, and we're going to collect some more data. And they're like, well, what type of data do you want? And they're like, oh, I trigger this and I trigger that. So it's all very real world. Make the flow happen in that cell. And you got to get beyond that. You're like, no, I need temperature data. I need state data. I need a lot more information off of this unit, so that we could then answer questions in the future, which we don't even know what questions we want to ask yet. right? And so there's a changing the lens of manufacturing engineering and working up from them, as well as getting IT to really understand and appreciate the challenges it takes to keep manufacturing up and keep, OEE high and keep the throughput working, right? The fragility or brittleness of a process becomes very critical. And so they're coming at it from different sets of responsibilities. So one way to kind of help fix that is you gotta give them joint responsibilities. You have to build a team. No one person can do this. No one department can do this. So I fall back on sort of, some of the lean principles and agile principles where, hey, give me a small group of people that want to work together to a higher vision. And then they get vested in that mission, in that journey. And then they start to kind of work together and stuff. But teams aren't built by putting people together. Teams are built through joint experiences, right? And so, don't expect your team that you just formed last Tuesday to miraculously be working together. They have to have some joint challenges that they work through together to build the confidence to then say, oh, we can take on the next challenge, even though we don't know how to solve it yet.